what I hear from a lot of people is uh, that somehow when they read something I've written, it gives them, in a very concise manner, a way to understand the world around them, to understand team interactions, to understand product challenges, to understand strategic challenges or go to market challenges. Any smart person, as they find something starts working, they will start doing more of it. They will start tweaking it to make it work better. And so we arrive at certain ways that we know work. But sometimes in that journey, we don't really figure out why it works. So that's one part. And the second part is we often, 9 cases out of 10, even though it works for us, we don't know how to help others get there as well. Right. So that's why sometimes I'll hear from people that, oh, the vocabulary you shared in this piece, whatever it was that you wrote, that is very powerful because that I can share with my team. And now we're speaking the same language. And now we're speaking the same language from the perspective of being extremely objective and not blaming anybody. Right. So if there is some anti-pattern, right, say there is an anti-pattern I talk about in product development, which is the execution orientation fallacy.
Yeah.
Where we create plans mainly based on what we know we can easily execute rather than what is right for the customer, because that may be hard. Or we also avoid ambiguity, which is sometimes, ambiguity you do have to face head on. We avoid it because if we start to tackle the ambiguity, we won't be able to execute on something very quickly and easily. So that's the execution oriented fallacy that causes all sorts of problems on product teams, and is one of the leading causes of product failure among otherwise smart teams. So once you're equipped with this term, the execution orientation fallacy, it becomes much more psychologically safe for anybody on the team. The way you can think about pretty much anything is, here's a human being, or here's a set of human beings. They are exposed to this stimulus, whatever the stimulus might be. What do we expect to happen? How do we expect this human being to react to this stimulus? Right. And that's where you can start going back into your pattern matching library or your pattern library, right? And start pattern matching, which is, okay, so there might be other different, distinct situations, distinct domains where a human being encountered a different stimulus, right? And what was their reaction there, right? Now let's analyze why they reacted perhaps the way they did in that situation. Because in that situation, you have access to the truth, right? Or some version of truth, which is the observed behavior or the manifested behavior, right? And when you have enough of these patterns and you ask the why question, it now informs what you are going to do in the future, which is almost the antithesis of truth, because or it's at least the lack of truth because it's not yet happened.
Yeah.
Right. And so as you go, back to these various patterns that you might have seen, and you ask the why question, your brain, we talk about all these kind of large language models, etc., that predict what the next word is going to be or whatever, right? And it seems like magic, right? In some ways, there's a large language model in here and in here, right? So that's how these things operate, right? So when you see a new situation, a new prompt, if you will, right? The key here is if you somehow get in the habit of asking the why question regularly. Why does this happen, right? Why does this product do this thing in this way, right? Why is this email signed off with this greeting, right? If you look around you, this sort of knowledge and these patterns are everywhere, right? So if instead of just looking at that pattern and saying, well, in this type of marketing email, you should start with this call to action or you should end with this call to action. Yes, you are learning something, but you're missing out on the on the real learning, right? Because you
Mm.
never ask why, you just ask
Yeah.
what, right? And how much. You might say, oh, what is it? And how much uplift does it have?
Mm.
So I encourage people to ask the why question. Why does it have uplift? Right? Because that will actually inform your model, right? That will enhance your model such that the next time you get a prompt, which may be a
Mm.
little different, you'll now be able to do magic. If you find yourself procrastinating on something important, it sometimes helps to A, recognize that it is happening because of some latent fear. Okay. Recognize that it is happening because of some latent fear. B, then forgive yourself for it. Okay. Forgive yourself for it. C, remind yourself that fear is a normal feature of life. Okay. It's a feature, not a bug. Fear is a normal feature of life for 99.999% of people in the world. Okay.
Yeah.
D, try to get to the root of the fear in this instance. Try to get to the root of the fear without judging yourself. E, then instead of wishing the fear away, tell yourself that you can still take the first step, even though this fear exists. So let the fear exist. The fear is
Mm.
there. Don't wait for some fantasy moment when the fear is gone and then I will start, right? Because that may never arrive. So let
Yeah.
the fear be here. Don't don't wish it away. Just tell yourself that you can still take the first step.
Mm.
And that could be, just create the Google Doc. Literally go to Google Docs and say file new, right? And now, or docs.new, right? Like just you have a blank Google Doc. Give it a
Yeah.
title, right? Add some sections to it. That's it.
Mm.
Right? Start composing the email if it's some email you need to send out that's like very tough, or send an invite for the contentious meeting, right? Like whatever it is, take that first step. Now
Mm.
that you've taken the first step, then congratulate yourself for taking this first step, perhaps even rewarding yourself with something you love, right? So for me,
Yeah.
it's usually like something like boba tea or something. These days, I've had some minor health issues, so I'm not having boba tea. But for me, for a while, it was boba tea. So reward yourself with something you love, even if that reward is disproportionately high versus
Mm.
the time and effort you put into it. So even if the time you put into it, the time doesn't matter. The great
Yeah.
thing is that you let the fear be and you took that first step.